Welcome to Take 5, your 5-minute inspirational message from Solid Rock Drogheda. Whenever God commissioned King Jehu to ascend to the throne and to destroy the household of Ahab and Jezebel and remove that wickedness from the land of Israel, he was rewarded by being told that his descendants would sit on the throne until the fourth generation. And 3 of his sons came after him and reigned for a long time. In fact, between Jehu and his son, grandson, and great-grandson, between them, they reigned over the kingdom for over 100 years. The promise was fulfilled, but just because God had said his descendants would reign to the fourth generation didn't mean that it had to end there. God didn't say it would have to stop there. It could have gone on. So when the fourth of his descendants, Zachariah, came to the throne, what was going to happen? Well, sadly, Zachariah only ruled over Israel for 6 months. In fact, in the biblical record, normally when it's describing the kings, you'll find a few verses about them in 1st or 2nd Kings. You'll find a few verses about them in 1st or 2nd Chronicles, and it really helps you understand who they were. As far as Zachariah was concerned, the fourth descendant of Jehu on the throne, as promised by God, there's just 5 verses about him. And the key one is 2 Kings 15, verse 9. He did evil in the eyes of the Lord as his predecessors had done. He did not turn away from the sins of Jeroboam, son of Nebat, which he had caused Israel to commit. Now, the sin of Jeroboam, and the sin that persisted right the way down so far, every one of the kings we've looked at, was the worship of golden calves, set up as an alternative to the temple of the Lord in Jerusalem. And just think about this. I mean, they had this book of Psalms. They had all these Psalms about, let us go up to the house of the Lord. And they just ignored all of those. And instead, the people of the northern kingdom, because they didn't want to go to their rival kingdom's capital, and that would harm them politically. So they went and worshipped these golden calves at Dan and Beersheba. Now, the thing is, God had extended grace. It doesn't say that Zachariah was worse than the ones that went before him. He was just the same as them. He allowed the idolatry to continue just like they did. But you see, God had extended grace and God had honored his promises, but actions have consequences. There's a verse in the book of Genesis when we reach the story of Noah that says that it says, God said, my spirit will not strive with man forever. God gives us grace, shows us grace, but then we can go to a point where punishment begins. And that's what happened to Zachariah. And he was assassinated, not just assassinated in secret, like so many of these assassinations took place, assassinated in public, in front of the people. And the fact that his assassins got away with it says that probably the people weren't that bothered about it either. And now things go downhill very fast, because the person who assassinated Zachariah and took his place on the throne was Shallum. And whereas Zachariah had only ruled for 6 months, Shallum only reigned for 1 month. In fact, Zachariah only got 5 verses in the entire Bible to cover his whole life. Shallum only gets 3 verses. And Shallum, in turn, was assassinated. And that tells us something, that those who live by the sword will die by the sword. And right now it looks like this northern kingdom of Israel is going to hell in a handbasket. It's a mess. I mean, there was some stability with Jehu and his first 3 son, grandson, great-grandson, and then now Zechariah reigns for 6 months, he's assassinated. Shallum reigns for 1 month, he's assassinated too. Those who live by the sword will die by the sword. Sometimes we are tempted to try to do things out of ambition that we know are not of God, but we do them anyway because we think the prize is worth achieving. Jesus said, what shall it profit a man if he gains the whole world, but loses his soul? Shallum assassinated the king, and he himself is assassinated a month later. What a tragic part of Israel's history. I pray that we, rather than pursuing ambition, pursuing gain, pursuing power at any cost, would discern what the Lord has for us and walk in his ways in Jesus' name. May God bless you today. Join us again next time for another Take 5, your 5-minute inspirational message from Solid Rock Drogheda.